Hello, and today we'll be continuing the Halloween series. This time it will be Polar Bear versus Grizzly Bear. As usual, this is written by Jerry Pallotta and illustrated by Rob Bolster. During the Arctic winter, polar bears and grizzly bears live far away from each other. But during the summer months, while looking for food, polar bears and grizzly bears sometimes end up in the same location. What if happened if they met each other? What would happen if they had a fight? Who would win? Meet the polar bear. Polar bears are considered sea mammals. They spend most of their time on the frozen sea. They prefer to live near the edge of the ice pack. They are the largest of all bears. Meet the grizzly bear. Grizzly bears are the mammals that live on land. You can tell grizzly by the huge hump at their shoulders. This is a muscle they use for digging. Scientific name of polar bear, Ursus maritimus. Fun fact, there are no polar bears in Antarctica. Remember, polar bears, South Pole, penguins, South. Polar bears, North Pole, penguins, South Pole. There are no penguins in the Arctic. Scientific name of grizzly bear, Ursus arctos. Did you know there are no grizzly bears in the southern hemisphere? Sorry, Black Bear, you're not in this book because you are not as big and ferocious as grizzly and polar bears. Forget about it, giant panda. You're a plant eater and are no match for a polar bear or grizzly. Fun fact, while on the hunting trip, President Teddy Roosevelt refused to shoot an old bear. Newspapers teased him, and from then, cute stuffed toy bears were called teddy bears. Fun fact, male bears are called boars, female bears are called sows. Polar bears have snow-white fur. The color allows them to blend in with their environment, snow, slush, and ice. Grizzly bears come in 4 different colors: dark brown, reddish brown, brown, reddish brown, and blonde. These colors allow grizzly to blend in with their environment: fallen trees, dirt, rocks, and trees. Fun fact, polar bears have black skin. Polar bear names: Ice Bear, Nanook; White Bear, Sea Bear. Did you know a polar bear's white fur is actually translucent? Translucent means see-through or clear. Fun fact, grizzly are also called silver tips. Polar bears are the largest predatory land animals. Polar bears can grow to be 10 feet tall. Here's a kindergartner next to a polar bear. Grizzly bear can stand 8 feet tall. They tower over you. Did you know the polar bear is an apex predator? An apex predator is an animal that has no natural enemies. Interesting fact, polar bears can stand on their hind legs. Fun fact, grizzlies also can stand on their hind legs. A polar bear paw is larger than its book. This is a grizzly track. A track is a footprint. The front claws can be 4 inches long. Did you know a polar bear paw is slightly webbed? It's like an oar, perfect for swimming. If you ever see polar bear footprints, pay attention. Inupiaq people say you'll never see the one that gets you. Fun fact, humans have nails on their fingers and toes. Bears have claws. Each paw has 5 long. sharp claws. Polar bears are excellent swimmers. They can swim farther than 50 miles at one stretch. Polar bears mostly eat meat from the ocean. Walrus, seals, sea lions, and fish. Seals are their favorite food. Grizzly bears are good swimmers, but they prefer standing in a river to catch fish. If a grizzly stands in the right spot, a migrating salmon might jump right into its mouth. Fun fact, polar bears can do the dog paddle. Did you know, yikes, a polar bear can eat human, but it hardly ever happens. Not many people live near polar bears. Interesting fact, grizzly eats salmon, trout, apples, berries, honey, and anything they can get their paws on. Grizzly also have been known to eat moose, elk, caribou, rodents, sheep, grouse, and clams. Not a fun fact. Each year, grizzlies eat a few people. Open wide. Polar bears have carnival teeth, canine teeth in front and huge molars in the back. Grizzly have teeth that are similar to a polar bear's. Grizzly have a good sense of smell that they can detect the dead animal 10 miles away. Important fact, polar bears can smell a seal through 3 feet thick. Fun fact, carnivore means eat meat. A polar bear can run 25 miles per hour. That is faster than a human can run. Polar bears can run down some caribou. Grizzly bears look slow, but don't be fooled. Grizzly bears can also easily outrun a human. They are fast. So who would win if they had a fight? The polar bear or the grizzly bear? Did you know a grizzly is faster on land? A polar bear is probably faster on ice. Here's a polar bear skeleton. Here's the complete skeleton of a grizzly bear. Bear skeletons are somewhat similar to a human's. 4 limbs, 5 fingers, 5 toes, backbone, ribs, head, neck, and hips. Goofy fact, all polar bears are left-handed. Interesting fact, the sun bear from Asia grows to be only 5 feet tall, the average height of a human. Sad fact, the silver bear from Mexico was hunted to extinction. Interesting fact, scientists have studied bear DNA and think that the polar bear and the grizzly bear are descended from the same animal. Both adapted to their environments. Polar bears prefer the sea. Grizzly prefer to live on land. Only an expert osteologist or bone scientist can tell their bones apart. Polar bears are solitary animals. They rarely fight each other and mostly they stay away from each other. Grizzly bears are also solitary animals, but groups of grizzlies sometimes fish together during the salmon migration. Funny stories. Okay. Male polar bears do not hibernate. They spend all winter looking for food. They might build a snow cave to sleep away on a usually bad storm. Female polar bears build a maternity den, usually in the snow and ice, to spend the winter and take care of their cubs. This consumes the mom's energy. Just before winter, grizzly eat as much as they can to fatten up for a long sleep. Grizzly bears have a deep winter sleep, but it is not true hibernation. The grizzly can wake up and suddenly attack you. In the springtime, grizzlies are hungry. Watch out. Did you know hibernation is when an animal goes into a resting state of inactivity with a slower heartbeat, no eating or drinking, and a lower body temperature. Here's some funny polar bear stories. A U.S. Navy nuclear subsurfaced in the Arctic ice only to find a few polar bears snooping around. Sometimes polar bears take naps in the funniest positions. A famous nature photographer waited days to get a good picture of a polar bear. He was eating lunch in his pickup truck. One day, when he saw a big surprise in his rearview mirror. Funny grizzly bear stories. An Alaskan man came home to find a grizzly bear relaxing in his jacuzzi. A sailor anchored in a harbor in Alaska and was awakened by noise. He found a grizzly walking around in his yacht. Scared out of his wits, he pushed out the grizzly off with an oar. Using a cheeseburger, the tourist lured a grizzly bear into his car. The foolish man wants to get the nice picture of the bear sitting with his wife. The woman screamed, and the confused bear ran away. It is summer. A polar bear steps off the ice onto a beach. A grizzly bear comes out of the woods. They see each other. They can smell each other. Both bears stand to get a better look. Then it happens. The grizzly charges at the polar bear, growling and showing his teeth. The polar bear crouches down, pulls up, ready for battle. Running at full speed, the grizzly knocks over the polar bear. The polar bear gets right up and fights back. Whap! He smacked the grizzly in the face. Ow! They claw, scratch, and bite. It's a nasty fight. They wrestle, each trying to get the advantage. Rolling around, both the bears get dirty from the sand and mud. The grizzly is relentless. It keeps on fighting. Suddenly, the polar bear sees no point in fighting anymore. There's no reason to fight to the death. The polar bear run away. The grizzly wins, but now he is sore and tired. He hopes he never runs into a polar bear again. These two bears are so similar, next time the outcome could be quite different. The book now ends. Bye.